I think Barada's going to kick us off, if I recall correctly, but I can get started too. This is sort of normally our hour for the community cafe call, which is sort of our like casual like hangout and talk about like life and everything and Hive and what's going on, just sort of a general hangout. But this one's going to be a little bit unique for DAO Rush Week, so we prepared some stuff.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. Yeah, happy that you're here. We like DAO Rush Week, we like DAOs, and we like honey and communities and all those good things. So yeah, here, like we said, we're gonna hang out, talk about Hive, kind of like, why we're here, what we're doing, what we're working on, how you guys can contribute, kind of what we see as like the future of open communities and whatnot. So yeah, essentially like the goal behind Hive is just to help communities thrive. Like that's the thing. And we want to make it as easy as possible for people to coordinate, collaborate, create value, and share in that value. So we see DAOs as a really great mechanism to do that. And so we work on DAOs, we design DAOs, we help build DAOs, we've created tons of really cool DAO mechanisms, which we'll get into a bit in the presentation. And yeah, that's our goal. And to help make that happen, we are dog fooding literally everything we build. So Hive is organized as a DAO. We have tons of cool mechanisms that we use. The latest of which is conviction voting, which allows us to use honey to support community projects and proposals. Yeah, so let me just show you what that looks like here really quick. Share screen. Okie doke. So you can see here, like this is Hive. We like bees, we like honey, etc. This is our dashboard. It's pretty simple. Honey is the kind of the fuel of the entire system, and you can see there's a bunch of like proposals here as to things people want to do to support the Hive, to support the community. And people can just kind of submit proposals in here. Say, here's a thing I want to do, and then bees can vote on it to, well, bees and honey holders can vote on it to support it. So it's this really cool kind of open community currency. And so with that, we have lots of different projects that we're working on to kind of help further the entire mission of Hive, of supporting those communities. So we will see here. This is a thing we just posted out that kind of talks about what it all is, and I'll just kind of walk you guys through it here for a bit. So essentially, with all that, the thing that we're using the most is gardens, and that is the DAO when you go to onehive.org here. And it is a DAO mechanism that allows people to share in a community currency, use it to vote on proposals, as I just showed you, and then allocate that community currency to the community to help contribute to things that everyone wants to do. And it's this really cool recursive feedback loop where if you contribute to the community, you get some tokens. Then you can use those tokens to vote on new things for people to contribute to the community, right? And because you're part of the community, you want the things people do to contribute to creating value. And then if they create value, then they have a stake in that, and then they can vote on new things, right? And it's totally open and permissionless. And super easy, because all you have to do is just look at the proposal and say, does this one look good? Does this one look good? And then everyone who contributes has a stake in the organization. And as per the title of this whole presentation, honey is money, so it has a price. Woohoo! So this is great too, because everyone who contributes has not only like a governance stake in the whole thing, but they also have a financial incentive. And so here you can see our honey price, and we have a common pool of honey that we can allocate via this DAO, and you can see the total supply. And right now this is on xDai, and it's on a Uniswap v2 that we deployed on xDai. Maybe it's the v1. Anyways, Uniswap on xDai. And so yeah, so it has a price, it has a pulse. You can buy it, you can trade it, you can earn it. And yeah, it's great. So it kind of creates this open community, and that is what gardens are. So we're dog fooding it right now, and we're also helping other communities start to understand and deploy their own gardens. And yeah, we're really excited about it. It's a really cool mechanism. So at the end of this presentation, we'll explain how you can get involved, earn some honey, start to explore the Hive garden yourself. But yeah, that's the gardens overview. Okay, So we've got a bunch of other awesome projects as well, right? Because if you think about it, supporting communities, especially via DAOs and blockchain infrastructure, is non-trivial. It takes a village. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like DAOs don't just exist on their own. So all these other projects are all other things that contribute into that. So if you look at Celeste here, right, this is Swarm work on decentralized dispute resolution and identity. This is super important because humans aren't code. Humans have subjective thoughts and feelings, and it's important that they have a way to resolve disputes and add subjectivity into their organizations. Because as per our earlier goal, the goal is to support communities. And so DAOs and blockchains are really great technology that can help do that, but also we need to address like the human aspect of it to respect that subjectivity is an important part of that. So this allows people to verify their identity and then contribute to dispute resolution for DAOs and the Hive and whatnot. And Luke, I don't know if you want to like chime in there and add a little more detail, or if I should just keep jabbing on this, but like, feel free to jump in if there's anything you want to say.
Yeah, totally. I guess one thing to kind of point out is that we're very much like dog fooding as a DAO. So like the dispute resolution kind of mechanism here sort of serves two purposes for Honey. One is to help distribute it based on kind of Bright ID. So if you register with a Bright ID, you prove that you're a unique person, you can participate and kind of like provide a service to the community, but also get rewarded in Honey, while at the same time serving a need to help us kind of moderate proposals. So like in Gardens, you can submit any sort of proposal. They could be totally off topic. They could be like kind of mean or malicious, or like try and scam people or do like weird things. And we want to be able to encode some sort of value system for the community. And there's like a draft of a community covenant based on the like open source community contributor covenant that we've kind of proposed, but won't really be able to ratify until we kind of finish the dispute resolution integration. But these things all kind of work together to make it more useful, to make the Gardens tool more useful, to make OneHive more productive, to make it a like more fun, enjoyable place to be, or to distribute Honey in a more like fair and equitable manner. So there's lots of like interconnections between these projects. They're not completely standalone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they all support helping communities thrive and create these socioeconomic frameworks that allow people from all over to collaborate and do awesome stuff. So if you're interested in doing that, or you're interested in helping us with that, please hit us up after this, because we want to help you succeed. And hopefully these tools can help with that. So yeah, another thing we're doing is Tulip. So this is like Honey Swap, I guess. It's fork of Uniswap, right? Which will allow for communities to have their own tokens and trade them and do so in an open permissionless way. And there's some really cool economics behind this. So actually, Luke, I'll let you talk about this one too, because like you're right deep in the weeds on this. You can probably explain it better than I can.
Yeah, I mean, so right now Tulip is just sort of working on trading and DeFi infrastructure. We're on xDai right now. We're like exploring Aragon chain and ID chain, all these like cool primitives that we see in Ethereum to like build on top of for DAOs are more useful when they're in more places. So we've deployed Uniswap v1 when we first launched the like OneHive DAO for Honey, and more recently we've moved over Uniswap v2, and we're also talking about how we can incentivize liquidity provision using Honey, exploring other kind of models to adapt kind of the Honey token to like make it a more useful kind of currency, and bring liquidity into the Honey Swap exchange. So that's an interesting discussion that's been kind of started in the past like 2 weeks as part of the like Raid Guild xdiathon, but has been making a ton of progress and activity. Big shout out to Chris Ortega if he's on here, and Will for kind of championing that.
Woo, yeah. So Honey is money. And so the idea is that Honey represents value and contributions to support the ecosystem. And when you contribute, you get Honey, and then the more valuable the ecosystem is, the more valuable honey is. And so we really want to build in incentives so that, that's aligned for everyone. And so that there is real value for people to contribute with that liquidity and all those things. So, yeah.
More valuable honey is, the more things the Hive can do in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And so back to like the dog fooding, like not only are we developing tools for this, but we're dog fooding it ourselves. So that way, once we figure out what works and what doesn't, we have a model so other communities can also use this to help bootstrap their community, provide incentives or rewards for people, etc. So yeah. Okie doke. Another one is Flora. So Flora is essentially validator nodes for chains, specifically like Aragon chain, but chains, because running all this infrastructure is really expensive, as we all know. So we need cheaper chains that are optimized for communities and DAOs, etc. So Flora is our initiative to help make that happen, help provide security for those things, and make sure that there is a place for communities to run all of these cool tools, right? Because like on main, you just like, unless you're farming with large amounts of capital, mainnet right now is just not a thing for anyone else. So we really want to make sure there's a place for communities to use these tools to thrive. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but yeah, we all kind of know the deal there. Cool. And so the next one is Buzz. Buzz is essentially this, engagement with the community and helping to share information and resources. So like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, like, right? So we're building all this cool stuff, but we really want to make sure it's available for people, and that people can understand how it works, engage with us to experience it, and also launch hives of their own, if you guys want to do that. So Buzz, the idea is to really make that easy to understand and get that information out to people. If you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest, you can join our Buzz team. It's onehive.substack.com, and just drop in your email. We'll keep you updated with all the latest and greatest stuff. And hope to see you there. All right, one last one, Pollen. So Pollen maintains a source credit instance for OneHive. So like I said before, honey is supposed to represent value creation and contributions, right? So when you contribute, you should receive honey. So in the honey pot, you can, submit a proposal, say, hey, I want to do some stuff, ask for some honey, people can vote on it, etc. And that's great. But not everything needs a proposal, right? So source credit is a really great tool that allows you to measure contributions via PageRank style algorithm, and then award people scores based on that. And from there, you can distribute tokens in proportion to those scores. So the idea here is that, if you contribute to our Discord, our Discourse, our GitHub, etc., and you sign up for Pollen, you'll start earning points that can earn you honey as well. So there's lots of ways to engage, and we want to make sure that anytime anyone contributes value, they get honey, and that honey represents value for the Hive, and etc., etc. So yeah, and if you're curious about that,
one thing to add there that I think is really cool is the honey that gets distributed via source cred comes from conviction proposals from the DAO. So periodically, there'll be a proposal to provide more honey to the source cred kind of engine. And Sandpiper, who is on the call, has been kind of helping to set up the instance and get the honey flowing through Pollen. So he's the man.
Awesome. And yeah, and if you want to learn more about that or sign up for the Pollen program, drop into our Discord. And we've got links to that in the OneHive channel on DAO Rush Week. And you can also drop into our forum as well. So go to forum.onehive.org. You can see here is also where we're talking about pollen and honey and all the things. So yeah, drop in and say hi. We'll explain how things work, and help you get started to start earning some honey. Cool. So that was a lot of things. Do you guys have any questions, comments, ideas, observations even?
Hey, yeah, quick question. Where if there's one place we should start, like what is the first thing we should do to start with to interact with One Hive? Like out of all the things you just explained.
Aha! Well, let me tell you. There's this magical place called faucet.onehive.org. Here, you can request some honey. So all you have to do is go to this URL, and we'll drop that in the One Hive channel. And essentially, it explains kind of what honey is from a high level here. And then we give you some honey. And what you have to do is sign up for Bright ID, which most people here probably are, I'm guessing. But if not, you can drop into our Discord. We'll explain to you how that works. Then you connect your account up here, just so if you've got MetaMask or Ethereum wallet or whatnot, enable your account. And then you can come in here and request some honey, and we will airdrop you some honey because honey is money, and we want people to participate in the Hive and get involved. And from there, you can use your honey to vote on proposals here. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I don't know, Luke, if you want to add a bit more to that, but I would say that the best thing if you want to start engaging is to, drop into the faucet, register your Bright ID, and get some honey.
Yeah, that's definitely a good entry point. Also, like the Discord, if you get stuck like setting up your wallet, setting up Bright ID, the Discord's kind of like the heart of where like day-to-day kind of conversations happening. So hop in, find a swarm, ask questions, just sort of get involved. Pretty much one Hive is what you make it. So show up and find what you think makes the most sense to you or is the most interesting, and there'll be people around that may follow you along that path or help onboard you.
I got a question. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I just went through the honey faucet. I've been meaning to, and finally just did it. A couple of tips for people that haven't done these things as many times, right? Number one, it's all running on xdias. So you need to add the xdi RPC to your MetaMask. And then you need to have some xdi in whatever wallet you're going to use. Luke, I don't know if you guys have any convenient way to get them. I happen to have some in an old wallet somewhere else. But you do need to make one little tiny transaction, which does require you to spend a tiny amount of xdi.
Yeah.
And then one question for you. So I did register, and then kind of nothing happens. I signed the transaction, and then it just says the register button is still there. We just have to wait until the next claim period in a day and a half.
If you successfully registered, we've noticed that the graph recently, especially on xdi, has been a little bit slow to update. So if you like refresh the page, you should see you're registered for the next claim period, and then there'll be a timer. Right now, the duration on the faucet is about 2 days, so you can come back and claim every 2 days. And if you miss a period, you'll have to start the process over and kind of like sit out one claim period. But essentially, once you see that you're registered for the next claim period, you are good to go, and you just need to come back after that time period and press the button again.
Once I clicked F5, then it now shows me as registered.
Perfect. That's good to see. How many people on here are already like verified by Bright ID?
Me?
I guess maybe it's easier because we kind of actually maxed out the community stage. I got somebody pinging me saying they couldn't join. But maybe it's better. Is anybody not validated?
Okay, great. And so just so you guys know the process here, to register for the honey faucet, you have to get Bright ID, and then you have to register your Bright ID so we know you're a unique human. So that way people can't just spam the faucet. And the Bright ID team is here to help you get verified. So not only can they help you through all the technical complexity of that, but also they are the root authority in the Bright ID web of trust. So it is a very good thing to get verified with them. So it's an awesome opportunity to just like onboard directly into Bright ID and also get some honey. So yeah, if you want to go through that process, drop into community stage 2, and they can get you sorted.
And we're
Just set expectations. It's a bit of a process to get validated and kind of onboard people, but we're kind of trying to replicate the like early days of like Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever, when you could like mine cryptocurrency just by like showing interest. We're kind of using like human connections to mine honey with the faucet.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about it is like the act, like you have to make a party, right? Like you have to bring all these people together within this certain time window. I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes to make sure that these are real people that are verifying you inside of Bright ID. I kind of like that.
And getting verified, it's the kind of thing you do once, and then you can use it for a bunch of different applications. The next Gitcoin round coming up in 10 days is going to have Bright ID enabled to get boosted matching donations to your favorite projects. So getting in now will have you in good stead for Gitcoin and other things coming up soon.
Yeah, so get Bright ID, you'll get Honey, and you'll get Gitcoin matching boosts. So it's awesome.
And we're starting to look at like there's a project that Will submitted to the Aragon conviction pilot to kind of upgrade the faucet and like create like a Bright ID registry app for Aragon DAOs, so you could kind of do things like quadratic voting or other cool things that require proof of uniqueness. So like human-powered DAOs. So pretty exciting stuff.
Okay, great. So do I hear that people who want to get the Bright ID will go to community stage right now, or?
Yeah, go for it.
We can split now.
There's nobody there right now. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, my fear is that this is a great talk and people don't want to leave it because it's an interesting talk.
Yeah, I
but
went
there's
out
honey
there
to be
to
had.
stage 2, but no one showed up, so I came back.
Okay, well, we could just kind of hang out and keep talking about One Hive and the stuff that's going on and do the Q&A. If anybody wants to break out later, or if you just want to hop on the Discord after the fact, if you're not validated, we can always hop on like the cafe channel and start making connections. Cool. So the I guess now would be a good time if people have kind of questions about like what we're working on. If any of the like projects sounded interesting, if anybody had like thoughts about the difference between sort of One Hive and some of the other DAO models. I think one of the really novel pieces is that we're focused on creating a space where anybody can participate, but you don't have to ask for membership. It's not like there's an application process. You just start earning honey, or you can even buy honey, and you can start contributing to the DAO and make it your own.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Roberto again from last community call we had with New York also. I just saw the message that you were having this call. I wanted to drop in, see the whole project, like how you're organizing everything. And it really got my attention, the Tulip project you were mentioning, like trying to bring this, is it like Honey Swab DeFi solution to the ecosystem. And I was wondering, I don't know, have you thought of doing it like in mainnet or like a sidenet like xDai? What have you thought of like developing this idea?
So HoneySwap's deployed on, which is just Uniswap v2. Like right now, it's like vanilla Uniswap v2, same exact contracts. We may integrate on top of it or extend it in some way, but it's on xDai right now. But our hope is to get it deployed on like ID chain. It doesn't really like make a whole lot of sense to deploy it to mainnet right now because Uniswap already exists on mainnet. Like we're trying to like create value where it's needed right now, and I think in a lot of cases that's on these like alternative EVM compatible chains. Gas is ridiculous right now, and we want to encourage people to like start to do all the cool experimental stuff in a broader set of chains so that gas congestion can kind of go down. But I think it's like a really important primitive, the basic like automated market maker, the fact that you have the flash lending capability, you have price feeds. And so just having that on xDai or on ID chain or like Matic or wherever, hopefully we can more easily deploy it to lots of different chains. Will allow people to be much more creative. And I think it would be cool to have kind of like One Hive like sub communities on these different chains that are sort of building out different pieces of infrastructure. But that's all very much in the kind of formative stages of like the chaotic DAO process where individuals can kind of take initiative. And in this case, the initiative started as part of Raid Guild's like xdiathon. It was the kind of impulse. Somebody was like, hey, we should get Uniswap v2 deployed. And since we had already deployed Uniswap v1 because we needed it to launch the Honey DAO originally, like 3 or 4 months ago, we were like, yeah, this would be cool. It would be great to have Uniswap v2, and we started working on it, and now it's on there. It needs a little bit of polish, and hopefully we can spread it to other chains as well.
That's really awesome. And one of the let's say the caveats that I had seen in the xDAI chain was specifically that. So how do you bring this liquidity of ERC20 tokens to side chains to allow like say like easier market flow? And like now that there's also like these ERC20 bridge for the xDAI side chain, yeah, just like having these ideas of like trying to bring those ERC20 tokens to xDAI and hopefully put them into HoneySwap whenever that's possible. Just like a random idea.
So the Raid Guild guys are working on like a front end for this like universal token bridge, which will allow you to take tokens from mainnet and like move them over to xDAI. And we were working with them on the token list. So they've got a token list based on the new Uniswap token list kind of functionality that'll be used for the bridge, but it'll also be used on HoneySwap. So when you map tokens over, they'll exist on xDAI. You can immediately start pooling liquidity for them on HoneySwap. You can start trading. You can kind of have like a little mini DeFi ecosystem start to emerge. And I think that'll be really kind of cool to see like if there's maybe more social oriented or smaller scale experiments that eventually end up on mainnet because they've been proven to be cool, and you do a little bit of this like YOLO cowboy stuff that's happening on mainnet on xDAI first, and it's sort of like an incentivized testnet. But really it's just an exciting time to be experimenting with decentralized applications and all of the stuff. If there's anybody here that's working on the token bridge or the xdiathon, but one of the things that I think would be really interesting would be to kind of create a like an awesome list of all of these tools and primitives, whether it's like Uniswap or like Colony or Aragon or Moloch or whatever else, like the WrapETH contract, that become these sort of like Lego building blocks that should be deployed on all of these different chains. I know, Phil, you were talking about doing an ID chain hackathon as well soon. Maybe there's a list, like a wish list you have in mind already.
Yeah, so the Raid Guild folks are going to help us build that list out. But right, we know Uniswap v2, Pokemole, the Graph, Colony, Dandelion, because hey, here we are. What else is on the short list? And really, so I'm not a dev myself, but I want to make sure that we have the tools that devs want. So if you're a dev and you're like, the thing I need to make my stuff work, please let us know, and we'll get it onto the roadmap to get it deployed for you.
I think it would be really interesting. We're kind of in the process of upgrading the conviction voting instance in the One Hive DAO. There's a post on the forum about it. We kind of have to wait 2 weeks because the DAO is decentralized and honey holders have to vote in the Dandelion voting application, and it takes like 2 weeks to give everybody a chance to vote. So we're kind of just waiting for that upgrade. But what it does is it introduces this idea of signaling. So right now, when you create a proposal on onehive.org, you make a proposal to request a certain amount of honey to go do a thing. Like there isn't really a proposal type that says, hey, I think this thing should be done. I'm not saying that I'm going to do it, but I'd like to like signal my support for it so that somebody else can come, sort of like an RFP. But as we update conviction voting in our DAO to support that, we'll be able to say, hey, I really think that this swarm or this idea or this feature is something that could be beneficial to One Hive or beneficial to the Web3 ecosystem, or just like would be great to see, and I would support this. And so I'm going to put the proposal up, and I'm going to stake my honey to it, and hope that other people in the community see it and say, hey, that looks like something I want to do, and create like a separate proposal saying requesting honey for that, or just doing it because they want to see it done, and somebody sparked the interest. That like kind of allows the sort of honey economy to be complete, where you like buy honey if you want to influence the direction of the community, and then you like make proposals or do work based on kind of those signals. So pretty excited about that. That should be live in, I don't know, Fabry, I guess we have to create a new vote, so maybe 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But the vote is already live.
Yeah. Another initiative that has kind of been we've been working on is integrating 3-box profiles, and we did some collaboration with the metagame guys for meta profiles, and hopefully we'll have like a shared identity kind of like layer for DAOs. So like you can create your profile in one Hive, and it'll carry over to metagame or raid guild, and we're going to be exposing that in the like onehive.org interface pretty soon. So like it'll become more of like a social network where you can do all these things and kind of connect and converse directly in the community interface.
Yeah, I guess I would just ask a little bit about the Flora project and like the validator stuff, and I guess maybe that you already covered it talking about some of these bridges and things, but if there's anything else that you want to discuss around that, would be interesting to me.
Oliver, and I think, oh, Chris is here. Hey, Chris. Had kind of expressed interest in kind of working on this, and I think it would be really cool to participate. So, like we know Aragon Chain's launching, xdias moving to proof of stake. There's been some talk about like ID Chain doing some sort of like quadratic staking thing. And there's OVM stuff in the future. We've got things like Filecoin launching for like IPFS storage, and Graph protocol, which we use, and all of these things that we sort of rely on as like a decentralized community. It feels like it's the kind of responsible thing, and even a good opportunity to sort of work on figuring out how to actually contribute to those underlying infrastructure networks. And in many ways, those are opportunities to actually like bring kind of sustainable like revenue into the community as well. So like if we run an Aragon Chain validator, for example, the DAO itself may not be able to like run the node because it like is a DAO, but like One Hive LLC, which is sort of a legal entity we set up for these sorts of things, like it owns the domains and whatnot, could run the validator and have part of the commission go into providing liquidity between Honey and DAI, or Honey and ARA, the like native Aragon Chain token, or what have you. And so there's this opportunity to kind of run the validator stuff, and then use the rewards for the validators to kind of help support the like the One Hive economy as well. And then the like pitch, like, because at least in the Cosmos ecosystem, people delegate across different validators, and each validator sort of competes on like a combination of like reliability and security for like their node operations, but also like bringing ecosystem value to those specific chains. So like some of the more popular ones have run like block explorers for Cosmos, or they've developed tools and utilities. And in the case of One Hive, that like competitive advantage would be supporting the like One Hive ecosystem on that chain, and attracting like a community of like Web3 builders to come in and build stuff and bring things into that ecosystem. So it'd be sort of like this mutually beneficial relationship for people that are staking in that ecosystem to support like a community to come on board and start building stuff on the application layer there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like building the infrastructure for the community to grow on top of it. I think that's a really cool mission. Definitely, we'll check that out. Thanks.
One of the other kind of like interesting discussions we've been having like on the Discord recently is like the vision or value statement for One Hive, and like how we can do that as a decentralized kind of collective of people. Like what is the minimum minimum amount of kind of culture that we can encode at the beginning, because we want this to be something that really takes on a life of its own, and like what that looks like. So right now we kind of have this idea that like people that are participating in One Hive, they want to see like One Hive community thrive. They want to see like crypto and Web3 used to create a future that's more like fair and open and cool and awesome. And we can use like magic internet money as like a catalyst to realize that future vision. But there's like a lot of scammers and stuff in the crypto space as well. And so like being able to like encode like all of the like positive things about this technology and all of the cool things that we can do with decentralization, while also ensuring that like it doesn't diverge into something that nobody actually wants to be a part of. Like what's the social contract and what's the like minimum viable way that we can kind of encode that, while ensuring that like somebody can come in and join One Hive and say, hey, I've got this great idea, and I think we should go do this, and nobody can really tell them no. Like that would be sort of the goal. I don't know exactly how to handle that, but I think it's going to be one of the biggest challenges for us as like a community moving forward, is kind of figuring out how to create the culture and the value system that drives us as we scale. We get more and more people involved. One Hive originally started out with like 4 or 5 people working on a grant project in a very kind of like tight manner, and now we're filling up the DAO Rush Week server and nobody can join. So it'll be interesting to see how we kind of maintain the culture and values. I'd be curious what people's thoughts are, just from the like limited exposure, what you see the mission or values of One Hive being, if anybody wants to share.
The idea also has been changing a long time. At the beginning, it was more to support free software developers to solve the problem with the funding of open source projects. And later on, it has been evolving to a broader area in which anyone can build a DAO for funding any public good, more similar to Commons Stack, which is another project, a friend project. And for example, conviction voting and all the gardens idea is they kind of engineered it and we implemented it. And well, right now, as Luke was saying, it's like we like to see people using gardens and all the stuff, and joining the community.
Yeah, I've kind of seen One Hive around for the last few months, but didn't really know what it was all about. And this meeting is really helpful. It almost kind of seems like a mashup of like Common Stack and Red Guild, but building the tools around DAOs and the infrastructure and stuff sounds really cool. This was definitely helpful to hear about it.
I would say that we're very, very much adjacent to like Raid Guild and Aragon and Common Stack and Block Science and Bright ID. And hopefully like we can cross-pollinate and build all these bridges. I think Metagame is also a very similar kind of like cool adjacent community. I'd love to see like more cross-pollination across all of these communities, building the future of Web3.
Yeah, I think that we are getting what is possible, and there are projects like commons stack that they have a very large vision on how things will be very that see the future of the ecosystem, and we try to do the next step. For example, instead of using the augmented bonding curve, which will be a very interesting bonding curve formula, we are using Aragon fundraising, which is already done, and just going with what is more what is already done and see if things works or we have to change things. For example, the conviction funding pilot is something that never was done before, and we see how it is going, and depending on the outcome we can go in one side or the other. And yeah, trying to, for example, we needed Uniswap in xdias, so we just get it, and looking forward to see other integrations with other communities as well.
I like that mentality. We needed Uniswap on xdias, so we just did it. Yeah, I'm hoping that like by building some of this like really cool infrastructure that is sustainable with DAOs and not scammy, when things like start getting scammy, and they will, because that's already starting to happen in the DeFi space, there'll be really cool stuff that people can find when they dig a little bit deeper. And hopefully like we can figure out how to like instill that culture and communicate it. We need better memes to get people aware of all the cool stuff that's happening that maybe isn't as like viral as like the next like BitConnect or whatever we're going to see with food tokens. So I guess honey is a food token, so we're right there already.
Honey Swap is very similar to Sushi Swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I think that people is still thinking that cryptocurrencies is just something in which you buy cryptocurrencies, you mine cryptocurrencies, and you hold them or you sell them, and that's all. And right now we can do that much things with them, with the DAOs and all the governance that we can do with them. And this is something that it's still behind the sea. It's not. It's like it's not visible at all. But it's there. It's already possible. It's already possible to do.
I think it's important that you can buy honey, but I think it's even more important that you can like earn it or receive it from like the faucet. Like, I think the idea that like some new person's going to come into the DAO space and be able to like have their first like cryptocurrency experience be like participating in a community and being rewarded for that feels to me as like something that's so much more exciting and better than like somebody being onboarded to Binance or Coinbase.
Well, actually, forget about honey. It's more like the important thing is not honey. Honey is just an ERC20 token. The things that are super cool are the DAOs. I mean, it's honey is not an innovation. The innovations that we can use right now that we could not use in 1 year ago or 2 years ago was all the governance possibilities that DAOs are right now offering. I think that it was last year we just had 3 templates in Aragon, and it was membership, reputation, and company. We didn't have the open enterprise, the fundraising, the gardens template. We didn't have any of them, and now we can see DAOs that are not just multi-sigs. And not only Aragon. We see a whole ecosystem with Colony, with Moloch.
Panvala.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, like I actually disagree. Like I think honey is the innovation. Like there's a lot of the thinking so far in the decentralization space has been about governance as the new thing that we can do. To me, the new thing that we can do is really new kinds of economics, like economics that's driven by communities rather than economics that's driven solely by profit. I think the more we start to see what these just ERC20 tokens can do, the more we're going to see the technology reorient itself around that. The governance to me is just a means to an end. Like there's all sorts of ways to do it, but the economics to me is what's new, and that's why I'm really excited about Honey and OneHive.
I mean, I think that the governance and economics are like two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. Like wherever we can minimize like actual discretionary governance, I think that's probably like what we want to do. If we can avoid governance by creating economic incentives that align everybody just sort of naturally and we don't even have to think about it, that's way better than like voting. And if we can figure out ways to do that for more things and rely less on like majority rule decision making, I think we'll all be better off. So yeah, I mean, I think that both are true. Like I'm very happy to see innovation in the governance space, seeing things like conviction voting or other things like bonding curves that allow us to play around with these economic incentives in different ways. But I also think that you're right, Neuron, that like really the thing that gets me excited about it, all of this stuff is like communities being empowered to like make social change and coordinate and collaborate on much larger, more effective scales.
Solid. Well, yeah, I think that's a good place to end. We're kind of wrapping up the hour, but yeah, like empowering communities, helping them thrive, helping value come full circle so that we can grow the commons and create amazing things together. That's really what we're doing here at OneHive. And if you think that's awesome and you want to contribute, drop into our Discord, say hi, sign up for pollen, you'll start earning honey, drop into the honey faucet, you'll start earning honey, hang out with the Bright ID team, get Bright ID. And yeah, you can start voting on how to support community initiatives. You can start contributing however you want. And we're all trying to grow the commons together to create systems that allow communities to thrive and build our own community. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. So glad you guys are here. It's awesome to be able to share this stuff with you. And yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, hit me up, hit up the OneHive server, drop in, I'm happy to chat. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Honey is money.
Woo!
Money is money. Oh, if anyone wants to get verified on Bright ID, we have a weekly drop-in hour in about an hour. I'm going to put the link in Bright ID channel in the Rush Week.
Sweet. Awesome. All right, thanks everyone.
Ciao.
See you guys.
Bye. Bye.